In today's video, let us see how to do decimal multiplication and division. Let us see how to do multiplication with decimals first. So, I will start with a simple example, explain the concept, and then do a couple of other examples too. When you need to do 2.4 into 2, this looks very simple. That's the whole idea. I wanted to explain it with something simple. When we have decimals involved in one of the products, just ignore the decimal. Do 24 into 2, which is 48. Now, here there is one decimal place here and there is no decimal place, which means result also has to have one decimal. So in 48, when we put one decimal place, there are two. Obviously, the point has to come in between. This will give rise to 4.8. Now, if the same thing were 24 into 0.2, it would still give us 4.8 only, because you would still do 24 into 2, just that the decimal point is shifted to here instead of being here. If we had 2.4 into 0.2, 24 into 2, 48, one decimal place here, one decimal place here, so 1, 2, this would give 0.48. If I had 0.24 into 0.02, still put 48. Here 2, here 2. So totally there should be 4 decimal places in the answer. But all we have is only 2 digits. So obviously, to make up for the remaining 2 decimal place, in place of the placeholder we'll put 0. So 0.0048. This is how decimal multiplication should be done. So when we have a big number like 161 into 15, so I'm making it 1.61 into 0.15. We'll do 161 into 15, which is 5. So 161 into 15 gives a 2415. 1.61 has 2 decimal places, 0.15 has 2, totally 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0.2415 is the answer. Now if you look at it, 1.61 is a little above 1, or it's close to 1.5. You are multiplying it with 0.15, which means a very, very, very small number. So any number multiplied with 1 gives itself. So any number multiplied with the number greater than 1 should give something more than itself. And when you multiply it with the number that is less than 1, the result should be lesser than the actual answer. Here 0.15 is very, very smaller. So obviously it makes sense. 1.61, which was one of the decimals to be multiplied, when multiplied with 0.15, should give a very, very small decimal number. So 0.2415 makes sense. So these are quick things to check when you finish. The answer should be in the ballpark range. If by mistake you had put a 2.415 or 241.5, it's definitely wrong, because the numbers involved, you should always be mindful about those. So I hope that was helpful. Let us proceed to division now. On the same lines, let us start with a simple example. 8.4 divided by 2. I would still do the same. 84 divided by 2 is a 42. So now in multiplication, how many ever decimals the involved numbers had, the result had to have the same thing. It's the same thing here, except that division is the reverse of multiplication. So these two multiplied gives this. So obviously there the result should be got by adding the decimal. Here you should subtract. The numerator has 1 decimal place. The denominator 2 has 0 decimal place. So the result, the number of decimal places in the result should be the number of decimal places in the numerator minus number of decimal places in the denominator. So which means in 42 you should have 1 decimal, 4.2. Now initially at least if you have difficulty in understanding the concept, try the reverse. 2 into 4.2 will give 8.4. So it tallies. So now the problem occurs when both places have decimal, or more specifically when the number of decimal places in the numerator is greater than the lesser than the denominator. So for example, look at this, 8.4 by 0.2. This is actually very easy because 1 decimal place, resultant should have 0. But same number of decimal places up and down is equivalent to it not being there. You could just think of it as 84 by 242. How you arrive at 84? You can think of multiplying up and down by 10. You're not doing it explicitly, but what I mean to say is, for example, if I had 2.635 by 1.342. This is indeed complicated. They are all decimals. It's different. You have no idea if it will be exactly divisible. But what I'm trying to say is 3 decimal places up, 3 decimal places is same as 2365 by 1342. That was what I was trying to imply. So now you do long division. You proceed in the exact similar manner. Now what if I have 0.84 by 2. Here again 2 decimal places, 0 decimal places. Answer should have 2 decimal places. Now if I had 8.4 by 0.002. Now look at this. Here the numerator has 1 decimal place. Denominator has 3 decimal places. So when you do 1 minus 3, you will get minus 2. What does minus 2 mean? How will you make up for it? Now what it means is you will have to add zeros instead. So 84 by 2 is again 42. Now 42 into 0.002 should give us 84 with, there are 3 here. So it should have given us 0.84. But instead we need 8.4, which means the decimal place here should move 2 places to the right. So if it should move 2 places to the right, it means it has to be multiplied by 10 power 2 or 100. So here what it means is when you get a negative number in the result. So obviously negative number in the result means instead of a decimal places, that contributes to 0. So here the result would be 8.4 divided by a 0.002 would give us 4200. Now check 4200 into 0.002. How would you check this? 42 into 2, 84. Now 2 zeros here. So if there are zeros in the numbers you multiply, you add them. That's normal multiplication. Plus here 3 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3. It does give us 8.4. So the result is indeed correct. So if you remember this particular method, it will be very easy to do multiplication and division with decimals, especially when we do not have a calculator and we have to do it manually. Thank you.